So, Apple is killing it in India, and the latest quarterly report from IDC is proof of that fact. 58.5% growth in a country like India for flagship phones is no joke. But I think this victory is going to be short-lived for Apple, because the Android flagships that I have been testing lately have been beating iPhone in almost all the aspects that we can think of, not just the price. Whether it's the design, the display, the performance, the camera, the battery, heck, even software experience seems to be more polished now. Now, to all the Apple fans out there, before you start raging in the comments, wait till the end of the video. I'll give you my perspective, which might make you understand what I'm trying to say. Alright, so if you're here for the first time, I'm Arshad, you're watching Trakin Tech English, your destination for detailed, incisive gadget reviews. You know, one of the biggest advantages for the iPhone has always been the Apple Silicon. Apple Silicon used to be a couple of generations ahead when compared to any Snapdragon or MediaTek Dimensity chip of that year. But that gap has been reducing slowly, and this year, I don't think there is one. Now, in Geekbench 6, the single-core performance of the A18 Pro continues to be better than the Snapdragon 8 Elite. But when you take a look at the multi-core score, it's actually better on the Snapdragon 8 Elite whenever we've tested it. Also, more importantly, the power efficiency on the Snapdragon 8 Elite is actually better than the A18 Pro because it actually has less power draw in Geekbench 6. And here's another fun fact, the GPU used in the A18 Pro is not as powerful as the Immortalis G925 in the Dimensity 9400 or the Adreno GPU used by the Snapdragon 8 Elite. For proof, both the Android GPUs actually offer higher frame rates in the 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme test that we ran. Also, when we tested ray tracing performance using the Solar Bay test, again, the Immortalis 925 is actually at #1 position, followed by Snapdragon 8 Elite and then the A18 Pro. Now, while benchmarks are better on the Android GPUs, iPhone does have an advantage with the games that are available right now, especially the AAA titles. Games like Assassin's Creed Mirage and Resident Evil Village have already been ported to the iPhone because Apple, of course, has the clout to bring these developers in. Android is lacking that at the moment, but there are folks who've been using Android for Windows emulation, and somebody managed to run Cyberpunk 2077 at 60 frames per second and 720p, which is crazy, man. You know what? If the native ARM ports for Resident Evil Village or Assassin's Creed Mirage come to Snapdragon 8 Elite and Dimensity 9400, trust me, Android will beat the iPhone entirely when it comes to gaming performance. In fact, the gaming performance has actually become very reliable now, so much so that there are pro gamers who always trust the iPhone for gaming, but now they can actually switch to an Android without any worry. Now, another advantage that Android flagships have over iPhones are larger batteries and faster charging speeds. Now, if it takes about an hour and a half to charge an iPhone 16 Pro Max from 0 to 100%, then it takes about 36 minutes for the OnePlus 13 to charge from 0 to 100%. Yes, I know that the Google Pixel and Samsung's Galaxy lineup of phones don't offer fast charging, but if you want a faster charging Android flagship phone, you can find one, just like you found Trakin Tech English for reviews. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, go ahead, do that. But you know what? The biggest advancement in 2024, actually also 2025, on Android flagships has to be the fact that these flagships are using silicon carbide battery tech nowadays. Phones like the Vivo X200 Pro Mini, the Xiaomi 15, the Oppo Find X8 series, and the Realme GT series as well, all of them come with larger battery packs inside, some of them even breaching the 6,000 mark. Take the example of the Find X8 Pro, which I reviewed recently. If you haven't watched it yet, go check that out. Now, this phone has a massive 5,910 mAh battery inside it. Now, of course, with that kind of battery pack and the efficiency gains that we have with Dimensity 9400, you do get fantastic battery life. But more importantly, it's actually slimmer and lighter than the iPhone, which has a smaller battery inside. That's not it. The Find X8 Pro has 2 periscope lenses and IP69 rating. In comparison, the iPhone 16 Pro Max has 1 periscope lens and IP68 rating. It's definitely lagging. Of course, with design, functionality, and durability, we see that Android phones in 2025 are going to be better than the iPhone. But more importantly, foldable Android phones have existed for the longest time now. Apple, where's your foldable iPhone? It's been quite a while. We don't want the Vision Pro. We want a foldable iPhone. Now, you might think that the iPhone has the best display on a smartphone. Well, that's not really the case. They've not been innovating on that front too much either. Android phones have many advantages. Android phones, of course, have brighter panels now. There are certain panels that are touching 6,000 nits of peak brightness when watching HDR content, and they're generally brighter outdoors as well, sometimes compared to an iPhone. And finally, many Android flagships, especially by Chinese manufacturers, offer local PWM dimming rating, which is higher than that of an iPhone. This is genuinely something that Apple needs to acknowledge and fix in future iPhones so that it causes less strain for those folks who are actually sensitive to high refresh rate display flicker that happens. And LTPO displays are common across flagship phones, which includes the iPhone as well. But Android brands are innovating on that front as well, where you now have displays, for example, on the X200 Pro that can go down as low as 0.1 Hz. With respect to camera hardware, Apple has been playing catch up because Android phones generally offer better hardware, that's for sure. You get larger sensors, more zoom with telephoto lenses, and so on and so forth. But more importantly, flagship Android brands like Vivo, Oppo, and Xiaomi have been putting in more effort. Of course, even Huawei, which doesn't exist in India, they've been putting more effort into their camera algorithm to actually capture images that I kind of prefer over the iPhone 16 Pro Max. For example, I'll take the Vivo X100 Pro or the X200 Pro's camera system over an iPhone 16 Pro Max any day. But there's one area where Android flagships are still finding it difficult to beat the iPhone, and that's in video recording. But it's not like the brands are not trying. Again, if you talk about the Find X8 Pro, it can actually shoot Dolby Vision videos using all the cameras in the stack, which includes the primary, the ultra-wide, the two telephoto lenses, and of course the selfie camera as well. So at least it's matching up to the iPhone in terms of capabilities. Also, the quality is pretty good. It's almost up there with the iPhone, just that the iPhone does it slightly better. But here's the thing, with video recording, I'm noticing that in low light, some of these Android flagships are actually doing better than the iPhone. However, iPhone is a proper pro tool because you get options like 4K 120 FPS and you also get ProRes video recording, all of which are of extremely great quality. Alright, now it's time to talk about the polish in the software that Android brands have been bringing to the table. And a lot of iPhone fans will tell you that, iPhone is the smoothest phone ever. Honestly, that's not really the case anymore. If you take a look at ColorOS 15 and OxygenOS 15, which I've been testing lately, the parallel animations on those are way better than the iPhone. Yes. If you want to do one of the things that the internet loves doing, which is basically opening and minimizing apps back to back, then of course, Oppo and OnePlus phones actually run smoother and have smoother animations compared to an iPhone. You can actually open 20 apps back to back without it ever stuttering. The iPhone will definitely stutter. More importantly, when I was using the Find X8 Pro, I legit noticed that the Twitter scrolling performance was so much better. It was scrolling at 120 Hz, like in Hindi they say chipakke. But on the iPhone 16 Pro Max, it actually doesn't scroll at 120 Hz all the time. And you will see the jankiness. And a lot of people are claiming that because iPhone sort of goes down to 80 Hz. Which is fine, which is Apple's way of doing better power efficiency. But fun fact, efficiency is also better on the Android phones nowadays. Now, talking about the new buzzword AI, everybody's going to be talking about it. And Apple was selling iPhone 16 Pros and Pro Maxes and the 16s to everybody without actually getting Apple Intelligence at launch. But Apple Intelligence is here now, although not all of the features are here. All the features will come by the end of 2025 is what most people are claiming. See, Apple's AI features are nice. I really like the writing tools and, Genmojis once in a while nice too. Image Playground is also fine. All of that is good. But how AI will make a difference to regular usage is when it deeply integrates into the systems and the services that you use regularly. And that is how my experience with a phone like this one, the Google 9 Pro XL, has been fantastic because in my regular workflow, I use all of Google's apps, which includes Gmail, which includes Docs, which includes Keep Notes, which includes Sheets. And Gemini is deeply integrated into all of these. So I can pick out data from the docs that I have written years ago. That's not it. Circle to Search is also fantastic. But more importantly, in a recent situation where I had to do voice transcribing for an interview that I was taking, Google was doing it real time and so well, so much better than what the iPhone could manage. And here's the fun fact. Until the latest crop of phones came out, I was using the Google 9 Pro XL as my primary device. Yes, purely because I was actually finding these AI tools genuinely useful. So yeah, even the AI experience seems to be better on Android phones, which does not include me talking about Galaxy AI, which is also fantastic. And when One UI 7 comes with the Samsung Galaxy S25 series in January, I think iPhone will have it really tough. I think, yeah. Now, to sum things up, the iPhone sells really well in the US, and there are two main reasons for it. Firstly, there are very few good Android flagship alternatives. The Chinese players don't exist in that market. And secondly, most US consumers buy subsidized iPhones from carriers. Also, you must note the fact that the iPhone is the heart of the Apple ecosystem that a lot of folks prefer in the US. But when it comes to India, there are again two reasons why people are buying it. Firstly, because Apple's got great brand value, yes. Secondly, because it's still a status symbol for a lot of folks. I doubt that people are buying the iPhone for building an Apple ecosystem. Are they? Which is why it's time for a reality check. Except for video recording, I don't think that the iPhone as a flagship phone has anything that is way more superior than an Android flagship. In fact, the Android flagship in 2025, like I said, is better. And the best part is the Pros and the Ultras on the Android side of things don't cost as much as the Pro or the Pro Max on the iPhone side of things, right? Of course, these are very strong opinions of mine, but more importantly, I'd like to know your opinion in the comments, and I'm sure that you'll definitely have one. Take it to the comments. Also, please keep it civil. Alright, that's it from me for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep tracking and stay safe.